I think I've always loved the back lanes as a sort of space, but also found them incredibly difficult as well, and quite oppressive, quite depressing at times.
You could often see, although you could see bags of rubbish and wheelie bins turned over and things like that, you could also see kids playing in amongst all of that stuff. So the idea for Reclaim the Lanes came about from trying to take those positive things that were happening and try to improve them.
And kind of thought, well, rather than it being kind of, a direct kind of changing room situation where we just make over the streets, why don't we sort of try and run something that engages some young people in the back lanes in a way, because they're the energy of this area. They're the kind of the vitality and the kind of liveliness that sort of bring it alive.
If I'm right, you and Laura came to me with a very grand vision of really changing the environmental landscape. And whilst that's always possible, from my experience, there's a process. And the first part of the process is to actually engage with the people that you're targeting to make the changes. The approach to the diagnostic sessions was working on things that they might be interested in, so things like photography. The first session was actually photographing what was out there, and that turned into a big selfie session that really did engage the young people because they loved taking photographs of themselves. And the big draw for them was actually ending up with hard copies, printing them out. Another thing was the food. In the early sessions, that didn't go too well, although there was a number of little girls who enjoyed roasting marshmallows for the first time. So it was altogether very much suck it and see. I wasn't even sure how many people would turn up, to be honest.
I've been involved with activities over the years, and it's from a council perspective and with partners, and you invite people along and you'll get people coming along. We have events and we've done litter picks and things like that, but the amount of people that came and the enthusiasm and the whole atmosphere, it has to come from the community and partners and projects that work in a neighbourhood. And how can we kind of augment and support and bring our artist to kind of work alongside?
We did 3 very visible things leading on from the Reclaim the Lanes events in 2015, which we used to provoke a response from residents. One of them was to work on the mural with the young people. The other one was to offer free planters to people in the street. The planters would go on their back walls and it would be looking out over the back lane. We allowed the kids to use temporary chalk paint and to spray up designs on the back walls. And all of these things were very visual things. They perform a few different functions really. The main function is that they get people to take notice of what's happening, and then when you can then go around and knock on doors, ask people what they think of these things, and they force a reaction.
When we did the deep clean, that had a major impact because people in other lanes were, why haven't we got one? Well, you can sort it out yourself. We did, and it's kind of part and parcel of to energise a community that has been very lethargic. It's to have action, which is creating the dialogue, rather than it being imposed top-down. Where this is happening, people go, oh, well, they're going to do it anyway, aren't they? To, well, what do you say? We are listening to you. If you don't like that, come and talk to us. That's something they're just getting used to. We get collared now. It's like, excuse me, I want to talk about this. Which you didn't get a year and a half ago.
I think it's political in the sense that we're trying to take control of our community, both in a physical sense, in terms of the environment, and a social sense. Pressure the council, but also need to realise that these problems don't just go away by themselves, and if the council won't resolve it, then it's far more positive and empowering for people to actually take action and organise community events, and everyone chip in and generally have more respect for the area.
There are certain Conservative politicians who might like to just expect everybody to take responsibility for themselves and expect nothing from the state. But on the other hand, you can argue that it's actually a good thing to try and encourage a bit of community.
It's just great to have things going on in back spaces, and not sofas.
It's celebratory, and I think that's the whole point. Like the kids are going to play regardless. It's nice if it can be done in a sort of organised way, as it has been, that adults get involved too, and it really then becomes like quite a communal feel. And if there's any issues, as there sometimes is, about conflict between the kids or even adults, then this kind of thing can only help to sort of bridge gaps.
In terms of the younger generation and the people that are supportive, it's good to see them, because they still mingle even after I reclaim the lanes. Like me working here, like I'll be outside and they'll all talk, interact with each other. They all know each other, even if it's just by face. And it's grown with the Reclaim the Lanes. Like the kids now idolise some of the other young teenagers that come here. That wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for doing these Reclaim the Lanes. That's the main thing, because in 10 years' time, them are going to be the ones that are saying, no, this is actually pretty good, I was there.
It's there to make a huge, huge difference to people's lives, and it's a legacy project. Ideally, we change hearts and minds, and the legacy is there for years to come.